At 2:14 a.m., inside NASA's Deep Space Listening Center in California, a young scientist named Dr. Ryan Cooper leaned back in his chair, fighting sleep. Outside, the desert night was silent. Inside, the giant radio dish continued scanning Mars, sending endless streams of data into Ryan's computer. Usually, it was boring. Numbers, graphs, static, nothing surprising. But then, in the middle of the silence, a soft sound entered his headphones. At first, Ryan thought it was a glitch, just random noise. But then, he heard it again. A low, rhythmic thump, 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 thump.
He froze. It almost sounded like a heartbeat coming from Mars. His eyes widened. "That's impossible," he whispered.
But the sound continued, slow and steady, pulsing like something under the surface of the red planet was alive. Ryan increased the volume. The heartbeat grew louder, clearer, more deliberate, as if it were pushing through layers of rock. Mars had always been considered dead, silent, frozen. But This felt like the planet itself was trying to speak. He replayed the sound 3 times, each time feeling the same chill crawling up his spine. His fingers trembled as he pressed the button to record it. Whatever this was, it wasn't ordinary. It wasn't random. Mars was sending a pattern, a living rhythm. But to understand what this rhythm meant, the story had begun long before Ryan was even born, 4.5 billion years ago, when the solar system was nothing but dust, chaos, and fire. Back then, there were no planets, only swirling clouds of rock smashing into each other like cosmic storms. In this violent chaos, 2 worlds began forming side by side, Earth and Mars. But here is the truth most people never hear. Mars formed first. Before Earth had oceans, before Earth had mountains, before Earth had air, Mars was already beginning its journey. It grew quickly, pulling rock and dust into itself, creating land, atmosphere, and warmth. And contrary to the red desert we see today, Mars was not always red. Scientists now believe that Mars was once blue. Yes, Mars once had oceans, deep oceans, blue water sparkling under a young sun. It had rivers flowing like silver lines across its surface, rain falling from thick clouds, and a warm blanket of atmosphere wrapped around it. Mars in its youth was like Earth's twin, a second home, a second beginning, a second chance for life. For millions of years, Mars thrived. Volcanoes erupted gently, creating fertile land. Rivers carved valleys. Sunlight glowed on its oceans. The temperature was warm, almost perfect. If you stood there millions of years ago, you would not see a harsh desert. You would see a paradise. Scientists now believe that life could have existed in those oceans. Tiny organisms, simple but alive. But destiny had a different plan for Mars. Something from deep space was coming. Something big, something deadly. A massive asteroid the size of a country hurtled through the solar system at unimaginable speed. It wasn't aiming for Mars. It wasn't controlled by anything. It was just chaos. Pure, violent, cosmic chaos. And one day, it struck. The impact was so powerful that it shook the entire planet. Mountains melted. Oceans boiled. The sky turned black. And the blast punched a giant wound on Mars's surface, a scar so deep that you can still see it today. But the real damage wasn't the crater. The real damage was invisible. The collision ripped away most of Mars' atmosphere, like someone tearing away a blanket from a sleeping child. Without its atmosphere, Mars had no protection, no shield, no warmth, Then came the second blow, the collapse of its magnetic field. On Earth, our magnetic field protects us from deadly solar radiation. But Mars lost its shield, and when the sun's radiation hit the planet directly, the atmosphere began to leak into space. Little by little, day by day, Mars was suffocating. Its oceans evaporated, its rivers dried, its skies faded, and slowly, painfully, Mars transformed from a blue world into the cold, red desert we see today. But here is the secret. Almost nobody knows. When Mars died, life may not have died with it. Instead, it may have moved underground. Deep beneath the surface, Mars still had warmth, heat from its core. Not as strong as Earth, but enough to melt pockets of ice. Enough to keep water trapped beneath the soil. Enough to keep something alive. In 2018, scientists made a shocking discovery. Under Mars' South Pole, there is a massive underground lake. Not ice, liquid water, and not just one. Several smaller lakes connected like hidden veins. These lakes are salty, warm, and protected from radiation. Exactly the kind of place where surviving life could hide, waiting, sleeping, and now, decades later, in a quiet NASA laboratory, Ryan Cooper was hearing that underground world wake up. The heartbeat signal grew stronger. Ryan quickly converted the sound into a visual graph. What came on the screen stunned him. The rhythm wasn't random. The pulses moved in waves, circular waves expanding outward like ripples in a pond. But ponds don't exist on Mars, so what was causing the ripples? Ryan zoomed into the data. The waves were coming from deep underground, 10 kilometers below the surface, from somewhere near the ancient buried lakes.
He felt his throat go dry. "This isn't noise," he said softly. "This is movement." Something under Mars was shifting. Something huge. Something alive? No. Not alive in the way humans imagine, but something geological, something biological, something unknown.
Ryan spent the next 2 hours running tests. Each time the result was the same. The signal matched no known Mars quake, no known geological event, no known machine, satellite, or rover. It was coming from Mars itself, from deep within. But what was it? Movement of water? Cracking of underground ice? Pressure waves caused by warming? Or something even more shocking, microbial colonies expanding after millions of years of sleep. On Earth, tiny microbes buried under ice in Antarctica have stayed alive for 10 million years, waking up when warmth returns. If Earth organisms can survive that long, what about Martian organisms that evolved in harsher conditions?
Ryan sent the data to his senior scientist, Dr. Elena Torres. Within minutes, she arrived, half awake, hair messy, eyes wide. She stared at the graph for a long moment. Then she whispered, "This isn't geology." Ryan looked at her confused. She continued, "Geological waves are slower. This has biological rhythm. It's too regular." Ryan felt his heart racing. Biological rhythm, a pattern, a pulse, a sign of life? Elena didn't say the word, but Ryan could hear it in her silence.
They called the director. They called the entire team. Within 1 hour, NASA's biggest minds were awake, standing around Ryan's screen, arguing, whispering, calculating. The heartbeat grew louder in the speakers. It echoed around the room, filling the silence with a strange ancient rhythm. The rhythm of a planet remembering its past.
As NASA debated the meaning of the signal, the truth lay deep beneath the Martian soil, under the frozen red crust, under the dry rocks, under millions of years of silence. Something was happening. The underground lakes of Mars were warming slightly, not because of life, but because Mars' core, though weak, was still warm. Heat was rising slowly, melting ice, expanding water pockets, creating pressure, and where water moves, life, if it exists, moves with it. Imagine tiny organisms, red and iron-rich, waking up after millions of years. Imagine them glowing faintly, producing methane as waste. Imagine them spreading slowly through underground cracks, growing, dividing, breathing. NASA already detected methane on Mars multiple times. Always in summer. Always disappearing in winter, just like organisms breathing in warm months and sleeping in cold months. And yet the world barely noticed. Mars wasn't dead, Mars was sleeping. And now something had shaken it, something had stirred its ancient heart. In the NASA lab, the room fell silent as the final analysis appeared. The waves, the pulses, the rhythm, they were caused by movement inside the underground lake. A chamber of water had shifted, pressure had released, something inside had produced methane, and the vibrations carried the methane upward through cracks into the thin Martian air.
Ryan zoomed into the waveform. "This looks like," he whispered, "breathing." Elena nodded slowly. "Not animals, not aliens, but microorganisms."
And then she said the sentence that changed everything. Mars is alive, maybe not like Earth, but alive enough. There was no cheering, no celebration, only silence. The kind of silence that comes when you realize you are not alone in the universe, not in a dramatic Hollywood way, but in a quiet, ancient scientific truth.
The next debate was even bigger. Should NASA tell the world? Some said yes, this is the greatest discovery in history. Some said no, it will cause panic, confusion, political fights. Some said wait, collect more data, be certain. Life doesn't care about politics. Life just wants to be found. He looked again at the pulsing signal. It was slow, steady, ancient, like the planet itself was breathing after billions of years. Like Mars was whispering, "I survived," like it was calling across space, telling Earth that life is not rare, not unique, not alone, and that one day, when humans finally walk on Mars and drill deep enough, they won't find fossils, they won't find ruins, they won't find aliens with big heads, they will find survivors, tiny, microscopic, patient, waiting since before humans existed, waiting since before Earth had life, waiting for warmth. As dawn arrived, Ryan stepped outside. The sky was turning orange, a color that reminded him of Mars. He closed his eyes and imagined the young Mars, the blue oceans, the warm winds, the glowing sunsets, and he imagined what Mars could become again if humans helped it. Maybe one day Mars will not be a dead world. Maybe one day Mars will be reborn. Its underground oceans will rise, its skies will thicken, its hidden life will spread again, and humanity will stand beside it, not as explorers, but as witnesses to a miracle billions of years in the making. The heartbeat from Mars finally stopped that morning, but it didn't matter. Ryan had heard enough. The red planet was not silent. It was calling, and Earth, after all this time, was finally listening.